Hey everyone, I need to talk to you about something that's been all over the media recently. This is something that's on the minds of many Kenyans right now. What happened to Albert Ojwang has left us asking some really tough questions. Albert was a young teacher and a guy who was active on social media, just like many of us. This guy went from posting on X to losing his life in police custody in less than 24 hours, all because of a tweet he made. Before I dive in, please hit the subscribe button because stories like this need to be told, and your support helps me keep bringing you the truth. So let me tell you about Albert first because I think it's important we remember him as a person and not just a headline. Albert Ojwang was a junior secondary teacher. You know, one of those people who dedicate their lives to educating the next generation. He was in his 30s and, like so many Kenyans, he was very active on X, formerly Twitter, where he'd share his thoughts and engage with what's happening in the country. Nothing unusual about that, right? We all do it. Albert wasn't a criminal or a terrorist. He was just a regular Kenyan with opinions. Opinions that apparently someone didn't like. And ultimately, that would cost him his life. Here is what we know happened. On Saturday, June 7th, 2025, Albert was visiting his family in Homa Bay County. That afternoon, while he was enjoying a hearty lunch with his family, Directorate of Criminal Investigations detectives showed up in their home in 2 motorbikes. They said they were there to arrest him. The reason? Apparently, he had made what they called a controversial post on X, formerly Twitter. Allegedly, this post they considered abusive toward a high-ranking police officer. His father, Meshach Opio, was present during his arrest. Albert was taken to Mawego police station. His dad followed them there, but instead of being processed and kept there, in the dead of the night, he was driven 400 kilometers all the way to Nairobi and booked at Central Police Station. That's hours on the road, taking someone away from their home area and away from their family. His dad followed them closely all the way to Nairobi, but when they got there, they told his dad to wait until 10 a.m. to see his one and only child. But when he got to Central Police Station at 10 a.m., he was told his son was dead and that his body was laying at the city mortuary. They said that he died from what they suspected to be self-inflicted injuries after hitting his head on the walls in his cell. This took his dad by surprise, and according to him, this is unlike Albert. Albert would never take his life. Now, here is where the story gets even more heartbreaking. Audio recordings have emerged of Albert speaking to his friend while he was in custody at Central Police Station.
Tutakam kesho, hata kama sio tutakam minda, ndafika hivyo Central kesho. Sawa mzee. Hizo mambo itakuwa fiti, eh?
Umewahi ndani?
Eh.
How is it, maze? Mimi I've never experienced it.
Nishaikuwa inda, so mambo itakuwa fiti.
In this recording, you can hear his friend saying that he will come visit him the next day. But here is what's really gut-wrenching. Albert sounded very scared. He told his friend that he had never been in a police cell before. I imagine that he felt unsafe being in a place he had never been, far from home, not knowing what's going to happen to him. In that recording, Albert was asking his friend if the cells are safe for him. He was looking for some reassurance. His friend assured him that everything would be okay. He explained that Central Police Station was much safer than other jails around Nairobi, promising to come and see him the next day. They were anticipating that Albert would have his day in court the following morning, that is Monday, 9th of June, 2025. I don't know about you, but this to me sounds like someone who expected to walk out of that police station alive. But that never came. He ended up dead in his cell, many miles away from home. So what's the official story here? Well, the National Police Service has given their account, and honestly, you judge for yourself. They claim that while Albert was in custody, he sustained head injuries after hitting his head against the cell wall. They are basically saying that he hurt himself fatally while alone in his cell. According to them, Albert hit his head against the wall so hard that he sustained fatal injuries. They say that he was then rushed to Mbagathi Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. That's their story. A young teacher who was just talking to his friend about coming to see him suddenly decided to harm himself so severely that he died from it. How does that sound to you? Look, I'm not a detective, but neither are most Kenyans. And yet almost everyone I've talked to about this case has the same reaction. Something doesn't seem to add up, but that's just my thought. First, you have the audio recordings where Albert sounds like someone who wants to get out of that station and not someone planning to hurt himself. Also, there's the fact that Albert's family was denied access to the crime scene. Why? They just wanted to see where their son had allegedly taken his own life. If everything happened the way the police say it did, what's there to hide? The questions keep piling up. How do you sustain fatal injuries from hitting yourself on a wall? Where were the officers who were supposed to be monitoring him? If he was considered at risk, why wasn't he put on watch? Here is what really bothers me about this whole situation and why I think Albert's story matters to all of us. This is about every single one of us who has tweeted, posted, or shared an opinion online. First, this case is about whether we can speak freely in this country without fearing for our lives. Albert was arrested for words on social media, and now he's dead. And by Sunday morning, his X account had been deactivated. Even if you don't agree with anything that anyone posts, surely we can all agree that social media posts shouldn't be a death sentence. Secondly, this case is about whether police custody is actually safe for ordinary citizens. It's about whether people sworn to protect us can be trusted to do just that. I have covered some cases where people have died in the hands of the police before, and I'm not saying that this is the case here. This is still an ongoing matter, and until the investigations are conducted and concluded, everything remains speculation for now. But this case has sparked conversations all over the country about police accountability, about freedom of expression. These are conversations we need to have. So where do we go from here? Well, first, an autopsy will help determine his cause of death. Hopefully, soon we will find out whether these were self-inflicted injuries or not. Independent Policing Oversight Authority, that is IPOA, and other human rights bodies are conducting independent investigations and demanding accountability. The Law Society of Kenya, that is the LSK, is also pushing back against the official narrative given by the police. Regular Kenyans as well are refusing to accept this story at face value. Most people agree that it seems like a suspicious death. Albert's family deserves answers. They deserve to know exactly what happened to their son in that police cell. We all deserve to know. This will not be swept under the rug, and the truth will soon come out. Look, I don't know exactly what happened in that police cell. None of us do, except the people who were there. But I know this. A young teacher is dead just because of tweeting. Let that sink in. In 2025, how are people losing their lives for just using their constitutional right to freedom of expression? If that doesn't scare you, it should. If that doesn't make you realize that this could be any of us, then you're not paying attention. The question is, will Albert's death become just another case file gathering dust, or will we see justice served? That remains to be seen. Albert Ojwang's story is heartbreaking on a personal level because he was an only child to his parents and a family man who has left behind a young family. It's also terrifying on a societal level because it could happen to any of us who uses social media and who dares to speak up online. But let us not be silenced. Freedom of speech is a constitutional right that every one of us should enjoy. We owe it to Albert, to his family, and to ourselves to demand answers and accountability. No one should die in police custody, especially over a social media post, period. What do you guys think? Are you satisfied with the official explanation, or do you think this case needs deeper investigation? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I'll keep you updated when we have enough on this case.